Hi, it's Friday, the end of the first week, and because of that, we are going to be recapping the exercises that we've been through so far as one flowing session. So that will be the ab prep exercise, the roll up, the 100, the double leg stretch, and single leg circles. So because we did 2 on Monday, because ab prep flows nicely into the roll up, we've got 5 to do this week. We're going to break them down a little bit in the session as well. So it's not just going to be a quick run through of the exercises in a flat way. It's going to be staged and worked up to. So we'll get on the mat and we'll get started with some ab prep. So lying flat on the mat and just preparing yourself for the session to begin with. So just relaxing, let your feet drop out naturally to switch those hips off. Let your chest open up with your shoulders dropping out and your scapula, the shoulder blades becoming heavy on the mat, and just breathing for a few long deep breaths. Drawing in that belly button, locking in through the core. Again, not tense so that you're really tensed up and can't move, because that's not going to facilitate healthy movement, but just engaged so that that tummy feels firm and strong. That transverse abdominis muscle, the big weightlifter's belt that goes around from the belly button right round to the spine, is engaged, making you feel strong through the stomach, relaxed through the upper body, arms down by your sides. And we're just going to breathe laterally through the chest, so the rib cage opens up sideways as you breathe in, and the tummy stays exactly where it is, locked in, and the rib cage comes together as you breathe out. We're just going to take 3 or 4 long deep breaths, feeling the rib cage expanding out sideways and collapsing back down as you breathe all the way out. Blow every bit of air out. As you reach the end of that breath, purse your lips like you're blowing out a candle and blow out, and feel how that engages the core even more. Breathing in, a full breath in, as much air as you can get in, and blowing out a full breath of air. So you're not just breathing gently, you're really drawing that air in, and when you blow out, purse the lips and really blow and feel that core engage. And remember that engagement and that blowing out when you need control and strength during the exercises. And when you need that, as you're exhaling through a movement, blow the air out and you'll really engage through the core. So coming into ab prep, got our arms down by our sides, just point them into your thighs, just point your palms into your thighs, and just taking a breath in, really drawing that belly button in, and as you exhale, we're just going to lift the head, shoulders and back up off the mat by scooping the abs down and up under the rib cage, bringing the lower ribs towards that pelvic bone together, and inhaling to come back down. So not tucking the chin to the chest too much, just exhaling and lifting up and inhaling back down, really working through that rectus abdominis to draw in that direction of movement, the lower ribs towards the pelvic bone, keeping that belly button down and in, not ballooning the belly out. Inhaling down, and 6 more. 5, reaching through the fingertips. 4, keeping those shoulders down and back. 3. So you can see it's not a high lift, it's not a crunch, it's not a sit up. It's just taking the weight of your upper back and shoulders through those abs. And last one. And down. And just bringing the arms right through the arc to over your head, and we're going to go into the roll up. But we're only going to roll up once, and we're going to do a staged roll back to begin with. So if this roll up is too much for now, just get yourself up to seated. For those who are doing the full roll up, your arms are over your head. Breathe in as your fingertips come to point to the ceiling. Exhale, tuck your chin and curl one vertebra at a time up off the mat with control, drawing that belly button in up to straight seated. For those who didn't do the roll up at this point, just come to straight seated in the position we're in now. Remember, your shoulders are back and down and relaxed, not up around your ears. So you relax through the upper body. You're reaching forwards through the fingertips, but not so that you're protracting, just comfortably, so that you're sitting up tall. Tip that pelvis up and forwards to flatten the back, so you're sitting up straight. Soften the knees if you need to. If you have tight hamstrings and tipping that pelvis forward is more difficult, soften the knees slightly and you'll be able to sit up taller. Take that breath in, engage through the core, exhale, and just to begin with, just drop onto your sacrum. Just dropping off the sit bones onto the sacrum, drawing that belly button in to create that C spine. So it's not so much of a slump forwards, it's a drop back. Remember that piece of string going in through your back, out through your belly button. You've tied a big knot in it so it can't go back. And when somebody pulls on that string, it pulls you down into the mat. Take a breath in from here. You've been holding yourself for a few seconds. Exhale and just drop a little bit further, not too far, just holding there. Should be becoming challenging on the core now, but you're not at that point where you feel like you can't hold it and you're going to fall back. Keeping that C curve, reaching forwards through the fingertips, but keeping the shoulders away from those ears, and your eyes are still straight ahead. Taking a big breath in, exhaling, and this time we're going to drop back, placing down into the mat through the belly button. We're going to drop back to that point where you feel like your heels are starting to lift. And you're really starting to work now to hold yourself in this position. You're still drawing in through the core, breathing through the chest. Don't hold your breath throughout this. Holding your breath raises your blood pressure, and that's not a good thing. Keep breathing. Big breath in, exhale, and now we're going to place one vertebra with control down onto the mat at a time. As you reach your shoulders, you're going to lift the fingers up to the ceiling and up over your head. Again, we're going to go into that roll up, but if you're not rolling up yet, just sit yourself back up and we'll do the roll back again. So breathing in, exhaling to tuck your chin to your chest, peeling your back up one vertebra at a time, up to straight seated. Soften the knees if you need to sit up tall. Relax your shoulders. For those of you who have just come straight to straight seated, we'll go back into that roll back. We're just going to do one more of these staged roll backs. Taking a breath in, engaging through the core, right round that transverse abdominis. Exhale, just drop off the sit bones and curve into the spine. Focus at this point, because it's a relatively easy hold, focus on the C curve of the spine and dropping off onto the sacrum. So just focusing on the body position at the moment, that dropping, hinging back at the hips and dropping into a C curve through the spine. That whole spine is curved round, even up into your neck as you sit up tall with your head. Big breath in, exhale, just a little way back, so that you know that you could hold this for a period of time, but it's still starting to become work. Breathing, you're probably feeling your hip flexors kicking in as well, because your hip flexors between your femur and your pelvis are starting to want to hold that hip angle. So no problem if you're starting to feel those hips as well. Take a big breath in, exhale, and we're going to just drop back to that point where you feel like you're going to fall. Your heels are becoming light on the mat because that center of balance is right on the tipping point. Big breath in, exhale, and this time placing one vertebra at a time down onto the mat. As you reach your upper back and shoulders, bring your arms up into the air and back. And now we're going to go into just a standard roll up and roll back down. So we're not going to stage it this time. So we're inhaling to bring the arms up. We're going to do 6 of these. Exhale, tuck the chin, rolling up one vertebra at a time to straight seated. Big breath in at the top, and then using that dropping back, we're just going to go all the way down in one go. Rolling one vertebra at a time. Arms come up as the shoulders hit the mat and coming back down. So that's 6 and into 5. Big breath in at the top. Exhale to roll back down with control. You can pick the speed up, but make sure that you're not just hurling your body weight forwards to get up, and you're not just flopping your body weight back down. Make sure that at any point, if I said stop, you'd be able to stop and then go again and stop, because you're under control. If you're falling and I say stop, you're just going to hit the mat. And into 4, up and over. Notice how I'm rolling through my spine and only coming up to straight seated when I reach the top of the movement. And the same with flattening out of the shoulders and the arms when I've rolled down. 3. And 2. And the last one, make this your best one. Really focus before you start on drawing that belly button in, lifting the arms on the inhale, exhale, keep those out scooped in, keep your belly button in, C curve of the spine, and up to straight seated. And we're just going to roll back down just to get back down to the 100. So just slowly back down to the mat. This time just lower your arms down. If your abs are starting to feel that, just give them a bit of a rest. Just relax onto the mat, relax those hips, relax the shoulders, take a few deep breaths and just prepare yourself for the next exercise. So moving into the 100 with your arms again down by your sides, palms face down, we're going to take those legs into that tabletop position, 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knees, shins parallel to the floor and ceiling. Relax the ankles. We don't want to point the toes too hard. We don't want them flexed either. So just relax the ankles. And we're going to start the 100 just in this position, holding your pelvis very still by locking in through the core. So we don't want the pelvis to be dropping forwards because the core's switched off. We want everything under control and held. We're going to lift the arms just about a foot off the mat. I'm going to take that breath in, solid through the upper body. You don't want to be moving at all on the mat through the upper body. And we're going to start to pulse the arms up and down. So remember from the 100 tutorial that this isn't just waving the arms, because that's not creating any control through the shoulders or any instability that you then have to work to control through the upper body. We also don't want to be going too fast because you're just going to put yourself under a lot of strain. But we want it to be like you're bouncing your hands off the floor. Don't touch the floor, but it's that effect that when you get to the bottom, you need to make a concerted effort to change the direction to bring them back up. So just pulsing the arms up and down. We're not counting at this point. Just want to get you working, get the heart rate up, get the blood pumping. And we're just going to do 10 or so more. And just relax the arms. And now we're going to bring the upper body into ab prep. So just scooping those abs in and up to lift your upper back and shoulders off the mat. Your arms are out. And now we're going to count to 100. Remember, do 5 beats to exhale and 5 beats to inhale. You might want to mark each 5 by turning your hands over to give you a marking point. So let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, remembering to breathe all the time, 70, 80, 90, and that's 100. And remember, maintain that discipline at the end. Don't just crash down onto the mat. Lower yourself gently down to the mat so you don't undo all that good work and potentially send yourself into any kind of cramp or muscle spasm. So in the next set of 100, I'm going to apologise now if I lose count, I almost did then, but on the next set of 100, if you can, remember in the tutorial, we're going to go into the full 100. So you're coming up into that tabletop position, you're coming up into ab prep, we're extending the legs to 45 and pointing the toes, reaching away and controlling that angle so the legs aren't waving around, they're not dropping and becoming slouched. Remember that partway through, if you're getting tired, bring the legs in, but bring them in with control. Don't just drop them in, and make sure everything you do has purpose and direction. If you're getting tired still from this, come back down and just finish off. There's absolutely no necessities here as long as what you're doing is safe and you're working towards that primary goal of strengthening those muscle groups that this exercise targets. So from the mat, just bringing the legs into tabletop position, extending the legs to 45, bring them together at 45, because just activating those adductors does help to stabilize them. So bring them together, don't squeeze too hard, but just have them in contact. Coming up into our prep with the arms out, we're going to start to count 5 exhale beats, 5 inhale beats. Never hold your breath. Scooping in through the abs, breathing through the chest. We're going to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Bringing the legs to tabletop, coming out of ab prep, lowering down to the mat and just relaxing through those abs. You've been doing some work now, so don't worry if you're really feeling it. Just allow yourself to feel that work and just relax. Bring your knees into your chest, take a bit of stress off the abs, hug them in and just relax. Rock your pelvis from side to side a little bit to give your lower back a little bit of a massage on the mat and loosen it off. And we're going to come into the double leg stretch. So we're really getting into the abs with this series. As you can see, we've gone from ab prep, which is upper body and lifting, always through the core. We've gone through rolling up, which takes ab prep into another dimension of bringing you up to seated. We've then flowed through into using the core with the legs lifted in the 100. We're now going to bring both upper and lower body together in movement through the double leg stretch. And then we're just going to finish off with the legs and the hips in the single leg circles. Luckily, single leg circles, although it requires the core to be switched on for stability, doesn't really work through the abs as much as these other exercises have. So that'll give you a little bit of rest here. So I have flowed this through deliberately. So just talking a little bit there to give you an excuse to have a rest. I'm going to go into the double leg stretch. So lying flat on the mat again, relaxed upper body for the time being. We're just going to bring the legs into tabletop position and we're going to bring them together, so knees and legs together, and bring the knees a little bit closer to the chest. Coming up into ab prep, keeping that core engaged, belly button into spine. Put your hands resting on your shins. Don't pull on them, just rest them and come up into ab prep. And we're going to exhale from here. I'm going to move quite fast in terms of description for this because we need to flow with this. So I'm assuming that you've watched the tutorial earlier in the week. Exhaling from here, we're going to inhale to extend, exhale, sweep the arms around and tuck back in. And just relaxing down onto the mat. That's just familiarizing yourself with the exercise again. We're going to do 2 sets of 8 reps. So coming up into your start position, tabletop position, up into ab prep, knees together and a little bit closer, hands on your shins, and we're going to go for 8 Exhale to extend. So 8, 7, 6, 1, and relaxing down to the mat gently. Having a quick rest, just resetting the lower back, resetting the shoulders, resetting the abs and the pelvis. And again, we're going to come up into tabletop position, legs together, up into our prep, shoulders down and back and relaxed, hands on the shins, knees slightly closer to the chest. Exhale to prepare and inhale to go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and maintain that discipline and lowering down to the mat. Relaxing again, stretching out, so really stretch through those abs, giving them a rest and a stretch out. Just have a wiggle around on the mat, side to side, just to get into those obliques, and just loosen off that lower back. And finally coming into the single leg stretch. So again, assuming that mostly you're going to have watched and gone through the tutorial exercise, remembering that when you lift your right leg to straight, that hamstring is going to kick in. If you do exercise or any kind of sedentary work where you're sitting in a chair with your knee bent for long periods of time, you'll have that tight hamstring. So don't worry if you're not a ballerina. Don't expect everybody, I can't do it, to get their leg just straight up in the air and extended. So taking it to where you can, remembering you can soften the opposite knee to facilitate that movement. So from here, we're going to take a breath in to prepare, lock in through the core, keeping the pelvis steady on the mat so it doesn't lead, the leg doesn't pull it around. Your pelvis stays where it is and just the leg moves. We're going to take that breath in. As you exhale, we're going to go across the midline, down and straight back up. So semicircles across the midline and up. For 6. Exhale down, inhale up. 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. And we're going to come outside the midline this time, as long as you feel comfortable to do so with your hip. And we're going to go exhale out, down and up. So semicircles, remember, we're not at full circles yet. If you get that click or clunk in your hip, decide whether it's painful or whether it's just something that needs to have a bit of a click to mobilize. And 2 and 1, and lowering down to the mat and switching sides, bringing that left leg up, remembering you can soften this knee if you need to, pointing the toes. And we're going to take a breath in to prepare, lock in through the core, pelvis stays steady, and exhale across the midline and inhale up. For 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and the opposite way, dropping out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, exhale down, inhale up, 1, up and down to tabletop, down to the mat. Relaxing, we're going to come back to the right leg. We're going to do full circles this time. I'm only going to do in across the midline. If you, at the end of this video, want to try coming out from the midline and out to the side and back round, that's up to you. It's a great exercise to do, but in this series at the moment, we're just going to go in and back round. So, flat on the mat, bringing that right leg up, pointing the toe, and we're going to exhale for half a circle, inhale for half a circle. So full circles now, going across the midline first. For 5, 3, 2, 1. And tabletop down to the mat, and bringing that left leg up now and across the midline on the exhale. Inhale back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down to tabletop, lowering down to the mat. And we're just going to finish with a stretch. So we're going to just do what's known as a dead pigeon pose. So for that, you'll have seen this before if you've done my videos. It's a very common one. Just bending your knees, feet flat on the floor. We're going to bring the left leg first so that it's crossed over the right knee, and reach through the gap in the legs, around the back, clasping your fingers and just pulling that knee towards your chest. You'll feel this if you've crossed your left leg over the right knee. You'll feel this in your left glutes. Just working into those muscles around the hips that we've just been working. So we've mobilized them. We're now just going to give a bit of a stretch into the muscles around. If you can and want to deepen it, just reach to the front of the knee, pull the knee into the chest. Big breath in and full breath out. Big breath in, full breath out. On the exhale, just pull a little bit more if you can, and feel how breathing out allows you to deepen into the stretch. 2 more long deep breaths there. And we'll switch sides. Relaxed upper body, so you're not holding yourself up off the mat like this, you relax through the upper body. And this trailing right leg just drops and relaxes. And letting gently go. So again, you don't want to just spring out of this, just want to lower down to the mat. Switch sides with the legs. Draw that knee in and pull towards. Just tuck your tailbone up and under as well if you can, just to get into that lower spine very slightly and just deepen that stretch through this glute muscle. Again, if you can, reach into the front of the knee, relaxing this lower part of the leg, relaxing the upper body, breathing deeply in and fully out. And with each exhale, just try and tuck a little bit more if you can. 3 more deep breaths. Relaxing every part as much as you possibly can. And last breath. And gently releasing back down to the mat. And just taking your time, however much time you want to. You don't have to follow me to the finish of this video. You can just stay in this position and breathe and let your body relax and come back to normal. But when you're ready, just use your arms to get yourself back up and coming up to seated. And we're all done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial sessions in the week. Plenty of feedback if you've got it. I'd really like to know how this first week's gone for you. And I hope you enjoyed it being all brought together as a session at the end of the week. As I say, any feedback, comments, questions, if you've got specific questions about the way that you managed to do some of these exercises that you'd like some clarification or extra guidance on, then put it in the comments or direct message me if you'd rather it was private. I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. It's all part of what I'm doing here, so I do welcome that, and it will help me to understand what I'm delivering to people as well. So I welcome any questions, comments, feedback. So have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you soon.